That's my baby. I'm dying.
That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Hounds exclusively here on A2DRadio.com. I'm Rob Brinkman. He's Brad Ryer. Frank Vespi's producing the show. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram. You miss anything here at A2D Radio, stream us, podcast form, download us, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. I'm sure there's more that I just can't think of. There's so many. Takeover talk. Turn those notifications on. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Turn those notifications on. We're all brought to you each and every week by our doc, Make 'Em Yours Too, Specialized Physical Therapy. Dr. Paul Vidal, 2 convenient locations, Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc, Make 'Em Yours Too. Also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extract blends and topicals and gummies. Use the promo code 420. You get 42% off from right now until April 20th. Obviously, 420, a very magical special day in the world of stoners. Body Check Wellness, 42% off until the infamous holiday of April 20th, 420. We had a big show tonight. Going to be a heavy baseball show. We're about 15 games in here. We'll get some very, very, very early report cards on your favorite team, Brad's Yankees, my Phillies. Chime in the comments. We want to know how your favorite team's doing too. You know, we're not just Philly, New York. We talk about all the sports. So we're going to talk a lot of baseball. I was getting ready to roast Kevin Durant tonight for not playing in Philadelphia with the 1 seed in essence, the 1 seed on the line and went tonight. But I kind of got to back off because he did get hurt today. Apparent leg injury, was helped off the court in Miami. But I'm still going to crush him later on in the show because he's soft. Kevin Durant symbolizes to me everything that's wrong with the NBA. I hate Kevin Durant. I mean, he's probably a nice guy and everything, but as a basketball player, his mentality, the way he went from Oklahoma City to Golden State, and then he's boxed into leaving Golden State because he's got to prove to win it on his own, but he can't go by himself because he needs Kyrie. I get it, he needs stars. And then, you know, they all of a sudden they get hardened. So now he's got all the help he had in Golden State anyway. And then he wants to
exactly.
He wants to rest against the stinky, horrid, putrid. I'm sorry, he played against the horrible, putrid, stinkhole Minnesota Wolves. And then he needs a night off when all the chips are down. The 1 seed's on the line in Philadelphia. And Kevin Durant's on the bench, and the Philly fans let him have it, Brad. And then we got the draft.
He deserved it.
And then
I'm pretty down on him right now, dude. That's just ridiculous.
The
NBA just ticks me off, Rob. With some of these guys, what they do, it's just ridiculous.
Brad, you sit against the Wolves.
Well,
it's a back-to-back. It's a back-to-back. I get that. But you get an extra day off. You get an extra day off because of the racial tensions and yet another tragedy in the city of Minnesota. Boy, they got some real problems in Minnesota because they just don't really seem to learn their lesson when it comes to this stuff. You get the extra off day. You play a game that they coast. They win by 40. Cool. Why don't you take that game off and play against the defensive player of the year in Ben Simmons in Philadelphia and let's see what's up. Let's see what's up a little bit. Instead, he sits out like a punk. That's what he is. He's a punk, and the Nets are a punk. Nets are a punk team. They're a circus, and Kevin Durant is driving the little clown car. The Nets aren't going anywhere. If I hear one more person crown the Nets as NBA champions or Eastern Conference champions, I'm going to lose my mind even more than I already have because regarding this Brooklyn Nets basketball team. Because guess what? Now they're going to be the 2 seed, and they ain't even going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals because Milwaukee's going to hit them in the mouth, not the Sixers, before they even get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, they could end up playing the Knicks in the first round and lose. The Knicks will punch it out.
But the Knicks, with all due respect, I like the direction they're going, Brad, but they are not of the talent that the Philadelphia 76ers or the Milwaukee Bucks are, or the Brooklyn Nets are.
They play defense just as well as any of those teams right now. Do you take a look at their defense? Their defense is as good as any team in the NBA right now. They don't score because they don't have the offensive players that the above mentioned teams have yet. But they're on their way. But they're good. I tell you what, if the Nets have to play the Knicks, guarantee you they're not sweeping them.
The Knicks could steal one. I could see that.
I could see them beating them twice.
Well, plus you got knucklehead Kyrie, and who knows if they're going to know the whereabouts of his body when it comes playoff time. Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, I don't know how long Durant is going to spend. I don't know what the deal is. They said he has a contusion in his thigh. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I don't know. He got helped off the court today, so it made me think twice about crushing him. But then I got on a little bit. And I'll crush him again later because the guy's a clown.
Is he going to play? I mean, I don't know how long he's.
And then he's so soft too, like with the tweets and like getting criticized by like the talking heads, like Shannon Sharp. He wants to delete Shannon Sharp on Twitter. It's Shannon Sharp's job to hold athletes accountable. It's our job. Shannon Sharp has a much bigger forum as of right now than A2D Radio with Fox Sports, but it's our job here at A2D Radio to hold athletes accountable. That's what the media does. They hold athletes, politicians, and musicians accountable. Now I'm here to hold Kevin Durant for the fraud that he is, and the Brooklyn Nets for the frauds that they are. Thank you. Hey, Victoria. I know
Victoria is right on.
I know Victoria. Check her out. Check her on ATD
After Dark. I don't know her. I know she's on a couple of shows. She is right on the button there.
Yeah, she's probably the only person in the Twitterverse, in the Facebookverse, whatever you want to call social media, that hates the Nets more than me. And I hate the Nets, so that's strong saying.
I know you do. They're not my team either. You know that. The Knicks are my team.
And then we got the NFL draft rapidly approaching, roughly 2 weeks away. I'm
getting a little sick of the NFL. Everybody talking about the NFL draft already.
It really is. What do you mean already? They've been doing it for months. Now is the time it should ramp up. 2 weeks to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is doing their mock drafts every day. It's a different draft. I mean, at this point,
this is why I hate mock draft, Brad. Because someone like, remember when the Giants picked Jones at 6th? At 6 in did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay, and everybody started bitching and moaning that was an overdraft. Like, who says it's an overdraft? Because Daniel Jeremiah had him going 20th on his mock draft. It doesn't matter.
Or the other draft. The other draft king. I can't remember his name.
You got Mel Kiper. You got Todd McShay.
Mel had him going at 15. Instead of and he had Haskins going at 7. Well, guess what? How's Jones doing compared to Haskins?
Daniel Jones might be a franchise quarterback.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know yet. Now Daniel Jones was very good his first year. He had a rough second year. Okay, the Giants' offense had a rough second year. They didn't have Barkley, so I mean, and he did the best he could with what he had. Okay, now the what do you call it? The unwrapping. They're going to take the bubble wrap off of Daniel Jones. He's got some receivers now to throw to, so we'll see what he's made of. Is he going to still have a bad offensive line? Yeah, he is. But you know what? The one thing he does do very well is run and avoid the pass rush. And now he's got some receivers who should be able to get open, and they should be a threat. So let's see what happens. As far as what they do in the draft, whatever they do, they do. I can't control Gettleman. I can't control anything that goes on in the draft. So whatever it is, I hope that they do a good job. And you know what? When in September, when the games are on, I'll be watching.
Yeah, and we'll get into it because like the Eagles are working out guys. I'm sure the Giants are working out guys.
Yeah, it's
There's
lying season.
rumor this, rumor that,
Yeah,
and like
nobody's
I
gonna
just
tell you the truth. It's lying season, so whatever it is, it is.
and like everyone takes it like oh my gosh, they took player A, but Mel Kiper had player A going 4 slots. He had him going 20th instead of 12th.
If Mel Kiper is so great, how come he's not a GM? Just asking. Daniel Jeremiah is so brilliant. Why is he not a GM?
Caller has a point.
I just want to know. I mean, come on.
What I'm saying is, if the Eagles, let's take the Eagles as an example. If the Eagles pick someone at 12 that was supposed to go in these internet mock drafts from these experts that was supposed to go in like the 20 to 30 range, is that really a reach?
Well, they wouldn't be available at the 20 to 30 reach for the Eagles if the Eagles really need them. Next season, they shouldn't be reaching because they'll have 3 first rounders. So they won't have to reach next year. They'll get exactly who they want. But you know what? They're going to do what they got to do. I mean, for them, you would think that they probably will get one of those wide receivers. I would think one of them will be available because, in my opinion, the quarterbacks are all going to get drafted. So if all those quarterbacks get drafted, you and I already figured this out a couple of weeks ago. There should be a receiver left for them to grab. Listen, the mistake that Howie made last year was basically Jefferson. And you said it all along. You were screaming about it 3 months before the draft. Draft Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the draft. Well, you know what? You were right on the nose, Rob. I mean,
It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, I'm going to tell everybody about it every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Exactly.
It is Sunday.
You hit the nail on the head. By the way, your fantasy hockey team must be doing pretty well.
My fantasy hockey team, dude, I'm one in a million. I have 1 win the whole season.
The way Panarin is playing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still a team.
Right? The way Fox has been playing with all the points Fox and Panarin have.
Yeah, but like I need 15 guys on the team, and I got 2 guys. That Barkov guy on the Florida, he's good too.
He's really good.
I have 3 guys, but past that,
I thought you'd be doing. All right, well, what are you gonna do? It is what it is.
What can you do?
Getting back.
Hold on, let's do the poll. Let's do the poll question. Our poll each and every week is brought to you by Philly Drinkers LLC. Get all your cool A2D merchandise at phillydrinkers.com. Click on the A2D radio collection: hats, coffee mugs, sunglasses, board shorts, anything you got. You name it. Join the takeover. Get some merch at phillydrinkers.com. Is your favorite MLB team meeting your expectations? I'm going to talk about the Phillies and how they're doing. Brad, you're going to talk about the Yankees, and then everyone in the comments, comment on your favorite team. I know Don19. I'm not sure if he's with us with the new time slot. He's got the Tigers, different people from different parts of the nation. This is your chance to air your grievances or sing the praises of your favorite Major League Baseball team. Brad, I know you're chomping at the bit to crush the Yankees. So, Brad, agree or disagree, are the New York Yankees meeting your expectations 15 games into the season?
No. Having the worst record in baseball with a $208 million payroll, they look sad right now. I mean, it's unbelievable how poorly they're playing. I mean, there is not one area on this team. Well, the bullpen's been pretty good. And Cole's been pretty good. But other than that, I mean, there's not one area on the team that you can be happy with right now. I mean, they're all striking out too much. I mean, you take a look at these batting averages, and I have some of these averages here for you, okay? I mean, it's almost scary how bad they are. DJ LeMahieu is hitting 288, okay? But I mean, Gary Sanchez is batting 37, which I guess is okay for a catcher. But I mean, Gleyber Torres, 213. Brett Gardner, 240. Aaron Hicks, who is right now a mortal enemy of all Yankee fans, is batting 174. Giancarlo Stanton is batting 167. Judge is hitting 277, so he's been okay. Urshela's only hitting 250. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, how do you have your bench? Okay, the highest average right now on the bench is Kyle Higashioka, who's the backup catcher. So I mean, you're not. He's played 3 games. Okay, other than him batting 333, you have averages of 182 and 143. I mean, that cannot happen. That's obscenely bad. You know, and part of it is Boone, and part of it is Cashman too. And you know, I can't really separate the two because I don't know exactly what moves of these are Boone's and what moves of these are Cashman's. But if you want to fire Boone, you've got to fire Cashman too. If you're going to fire Boone and not fire Cashman, don't waste my time because the same stupidity is going to continue. Everybody on that team is responsible for what's going on. They're not hitting. I mean, you know, I turned on the Mets yesterday after I turned on the Yankees because I wanted to watch more baseball. And, you know, the Mets are playing exciting baseball. You know, they actually look like they have a pulse. Right now I have the Oakland A's and the Detroit Tigers on. You know, and the Oakland A's, who looked so terrible at the beginning of the season against the Astros, you know, all of a sudden things have kind of turned around for them. I'm just hoping that things turn around the same way for the Yankees because it shouldn't be this bad. I mean, I just can't imagine Stanton is going to keep hitting 160. I can't imagine Gleyber Torres is going to be hitting 213. But Gleyber Torres can't field either. Biggest mistake the Yankees have made in the last couple of years is letting Didi Gregorius go. I mean, it's like he held the glue for that infield.
Well, I would not be pleased at all, and I would disagree to the poll if I were a Yankees fan. The Yankees would not be meeting my expectations.
Not even
Brad. This is a bad defensive team in New York.
Oh, they're terrible defensively, and
they can't field.
No, and then you've got guys playing out of position too. I mean, I know the Voit. You know, I don't like to blame injuries because Luke Voit is only one player. Okay. But it shouldn't be this bad. It's not just – I mean, okay, Voit did lead the league in home runs last year. He led the major leagues in home runs, and he also hit 280. So that's a pretty good bat out of your lineup. But, I mean, when you got guys like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and DJ LeMahieu and Gary Sanchez and Gleyber Torres in your lineup, you should be hitting. It's just it's hard to even fathom. I can understand the errors because they're not a good defensive team, but Judge has been told, don't hustle in the outfield. Be careful, don't hurt yourself. So balls are going over his head that normally don't. They don't want him jump when he gets to the warning track because they're afraid if he lands wrong, he's going to pull a hamstring.
That's a terrible way to play. You can't play sports like that. You can't play. I roast Zach Ertz all the time last year because you know why Zach Ertz got hurt last year? Because his mind wasn't fully focused on football. He was worried about contract stuff. You play sports not to get injured, you're going to get hurt.
These are orders from the general manager, okay? And again, you know what? And everybody who wants to kill Boone, and I'm killing Boone because you know I don't like Boone. Boone to me
he's not very good. He deserves it. He deserves his criticism.
Boone's a terrible manager. I mean, I've given reason after reason why I think Boone is terrible, and I'm going to go through it again just in case some of you Yankee fans who think he's so wonderful because he won 100 games a couple of times. I'm going to give you another review because obviously some of you aren't listening to what's going on. Okay, let's start with 2018 when the Yankees are playing Boston and the series is tied at 1. Luis Severino in a 7:45 start game doesn't start warming up till 7:30 instead of 7:10. You know why? Because Aaron Boone is too busy with photo ops and not reminding him to go to the bullpen to warm up. Okay? That's problem number 1. Problem number 2, 2019 against the Houston Astros. Okay? Runners on first and third, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th in the deciding game. Okay? You have an empty base and Jose Altuve is up. Do you know who's on deck? Jake stinking Marisnik, who can't hit a balloon, let alone a baseball. What does Boone do? He wants Chapman to pitch to Altuve, and you remember what happened there. He hit a home run, game over. That was it. That was it for the Yankees that year. Last year, okay, Game 3, you want to pitch J. Happ out of the bullpen. J. Happ has never pitched a game out of the bullpen in his career. Okay, you start Davy Garcia for an inning, and then you bring Happ in to pitch in the second inning. Either Happ starts the game or Garcia starts the game, and you let them pitch. Okay, both of them stunk. The Yankees lose the game. Then in the deciding game, 9th inning, when you've got guys on the bench who can hit, you let Mike, 132 batting average, Ford bat in the 9th inning when the game and the series is on the line.
That was puzzling. I remember that.
You're telling me that this guy's a good manager? I mean, what? I'm sorry, but you cannot be this dumb and be a good manager and be called a good manager. I don't care how many games you won during the regular season. Okay, you had a stacked team. When it comes to the playoffs and you're making egregious, ridiculous moves like this, okay, you're not a good manager. And you know what? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. How do you allow this guy to continue to manage this team? Okay, then he has a team meeting after the Yankees lose Friday night to the Tampa Bay Rays because they lost a very sloppy defensive game and didn't hit. Okay, he has a team meeting. Do they score any more runs on Saturday and Sunday? No, because you know what? You're not doing anything different. You're not sending base runners. Okay, you're not trying to bunt to move guys over. I mean, Rougned Odor up with a runner on second and no outs. Guy's hitting like 120, okay, against a lefty. Bunt the damn ball. Move Gio Urshela to third base with 1 out. I mean, over and over again, it's the same stupidity. If you're not hitting home runs and you're having trouble scoring runs, grind out some runs. Try to do something different. If you do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same result. Okay? I mean, they've hit, 15 home runs in 14 games or 16 home runs in 15 games, something like that. Okay? Big deal. If they're all solo home runs, that's 1 run each. I mean, and that's all they're doing. And nobody's getting base hits. I mean, you got to move the infield around. You got to do some hit and runs. These guys, some of these guys who swing for the fences all the time, shorten up your swing a little bit and try to hit the ball the other way against these shifts. I mean, it's ridiculous. I feel like I'm watching Mark Teixeira when he was at the end of his career bat 9 consecutive times with 4 guys on the left side of the infield or the right side of the infield, depending on which side of the plate he was batting from. It's unbelievable. And Boone continues to let it happen. And you know what? And it's analytics, and you know it's driven by Cashman. So I don't care. If you get rid of one, you got to get rid of both. But these 2 guys better get it together because this is just not 5 and 10. I can understand if they're 8 and 7. You know, I can understand that. I mean, they're playing top teams. Okay, and I get that. And you know, you can't. You're not going to win every game, and I get that. Or even 7 and 8. Okay, you know, I mean, it hasn't been that easy. They're playing against good teams right now, but 5 and 10, that's just pathetic. That's just you. On the other hand, your team's been playing okay so far.
We're okay, but I want to give my 2 cents in on the Yankees because
I think you'll get better.
Is it fair to say that I always criticize the Eagles? We've all been criticizing the Eagles. We hear all this nonsense about the Eagles and their power structure and their hierarchy, and that Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni are the puppets, and the team is run by the owner and the general manager. Is it fair to say that Aaron Boone is a puppet for Brian Cashman and the New York Yankee higher-ups?
Yes, that's why he gets no respect at team meetings.
What's the point of having a closed-door team meeting led by Aaron Boone?
Right. What's the point when nothing's going to change? When Aaron Hicks continues to bat third, Aaron Judge continues to bat second. I mean, they change a couple of guys in the bottom of the order. The only good thing that's happened to the Yankees right now is that Jay Bruce, thank God, retired today.
They're similar. It's our teams. similar teams. They're designed to hit, and some of the guys are hitting and some of them aren't. They're not good defensively, and the starting pitching is suspect, even though the Yankees have on paper what should be a great bullpen. But, Brad, you can't – if you're not going to hit and you're not going to catch the ball, you're going to be 5-10. Now, I would like to preach patience to you and the Yankees fans that are ready to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge here. It's 15 games in out of 162. Brian Cashman, as a general manager, has never had a losing season. He's been the GM there for 20 years. So he knows how to put a roster together. He knows how to win games. The Yankees are going to be fine. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be right there knocking on the doorstep in what I think, Brad, is a pretty weak American League this year.
I don't think it's as bad as you think it is, Rob. I think it's a little better than you give credit for.
Well, I mean, we'll see how some of these teams shake out over 162 games, but I fully expect the Yankees to be right there competing for a championship.
Not if they can't field, Rob.
They need to – well, this is where Cashman needs to earn his stripes as one of the better GMs in pro sports. You can't trot Gleyber Torres out there at shortstop. The shortstop is the captain of the infield. If you don't have a good shortstop defensively, it's very, very difficult to have a good team, good defensive team, period. DJ LeMahieu it's tough because you got DJ LeMahieu at second right now.
Well, now he's playing first because Voigt's not in there and Bruce retired, so they have him.
I'm talking about, but when Voigt comes back, he's going to play first.
Oh, absolutely.
So big picture, DJ LeMahieu's your second baseman who can't play short. You don't have a shortstop, and you can't really move Urshela off a third because
if Urshela's not going to hit, then I mean, listen, you could put DJ LeMahieu at third base, although he's really not a third baseman.
He's not hitting. DJ LeMahieu's not hitting either.
He's hitting 280. I mean, that's a little low for him, but DJ LeMahieu is not the reason the Yankees are losing right now. I mean, DJ LeMahieu actually had a big hit today to score a run. I mean, that was one of the few. He was one of the few bright spots today. But I mean, this has been going on. This has been going on all season. The Yankees are not hitting. The pitching has been suspect. The bullpen's been pretty good for the most part, although it did concede a couple of runs today. But you know what? The bottom line is, if you're going to score 2 runs every game, you're going to lose. I mean, you can't keep scoring 2 runs. That's just not acceptable.
And then the only criticism I have of Cashman, other than the defense, is that they've really tried. They went to Dollar Tree in the offseason when it came to building a starting rotation.
Yeah, he did the dumpster diving thing again, which he's been doing for years now. And this is because he goes and he spends $10 million a year on guys like Aaron Hicks. I mean, doesn't
Brett Gardner have like isn't he making like $11 million this year? Gardner?
No, he's only making $4 million.
Okay.
But he shouldn't even be on the team. He's a backup player, and you're paying a backup player $4 million. I mean, what the? He's old and can't field. You need to get a young guy in there that can field. Yeah, his fielding hasn't been his fielding has not really been the issue. I mean, listen, Clint Frazier has been fielding pretty well, but he can't hit for whatever reason this year. He's not hitting at all. I don't know if the pressure is getting to him. Aaron Hicks, though, really is becoming a problem because his fielding has been terrible. He seems to have lost strength in his arm from the Tommy John surgery. It just seems like since the Tommy John surgery, he hasn't been the same player. And we're stuck with him for another 4 years. And to be honest with you, I was never really crazy about him anyway. And to sign a 7-year, $70 million contract was just ludicrous.
But to do something like that, like you go out, you spend the $30 million a year on Garrett Cole, and then your number 2 is
your number 2 hasn't pitched has pitched 1 inning in the last year and a half, and then your number 3, who's Tyon, didn't pitch at all last year. Your number 4, who was Herman, was suspended last year, And Montgomery, who's pitched pretty good this year, he's actually done a pretty good job. He's been okay, but it just boggles my mind what's going on with this team right now.
And Herman's not even with the club.
Herman's on the alternate site right now. He's been so bad. So I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe the pressure got to him too. I mean, I don't know. He's kind of a little mentally unbalanced. So I don't know. There's always a possibility of that happening. But I mean, it's not the fact that they're losing, Rob. It's the way that they're losing. They just look lifeless. They look like zombies. They look like carcasses that are just getting kicked around. And it's hard to understand, because you would think by accident that some of these guys would have more home runs. I mean, the one guy I really don't understand right now is Gleyber Torres. I don't get it with him. What's going on with him?
Well, he can't play shortstop, and he's out of position.
Yeah, but he should be able to hit.
Yeah, but Brad, he's bringing his struggles in the field.
That's
to
exactly.
the plate.
Yeah, it is. I think Gleyber should be playing third. Honestly, I think he should be playing third. I mean, I like Gio Urshela. Gio Urshela could always come in, could always be one of your utility players too. I mean, if he's only going to hit 250, and he had an injury too to his elbow. He had something wrong with his elbow. I think he had bone chips, and he had surgery in the off season. I don't know if that's affecting his swing. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not hitting either. So, I mean, but if it's a choice of keeping Gio Urshela or Gleyber Torres on the team, so you can upgrade shortstop, I mean, it's obvious you're going to keep Gleyber Torres. You're not going to get rid of him. He's got, there's too much talent involved there. I mean, if you remember, Ron Bloomberg told us when we interviewed him, he didn't think Gleyber was a shortstop, that he's too big and not built right to play shortstop. He was right. He figured that out immediately. If he can figure that out, how come Aaron Boone can't figure it out? And how come Brian Cashman can't figure it out?
Because, they don't want to pay too much in luxury tax, which is a bad mentality to have when you're the New York Yankees.
Yeah, but you raised your ticket prices by 30% this year. So,
well, I mean, for them to, I mean, look, Kluber was I thought Kluber was going to do good. Kluber was either going to be feast or famine. I mean, it's only 15 games in, so he has time to get it together. But the fact that he's pitched one inning and what you said was a year and a half is very concerning. Like, that's your plan at number 2. You're the New York Yankees. You spent $30 million a year on Garrett Cole, and Corey Kluber's your answer as your number 2 pitcher.
Well, it's not just that, Rob. It's 3 pitchers that you're starting 5 didn't pitch last year. Pitched a grand total of 1 inning last year. I mean, and you're asking, and you're, I mean, maybe 2 out of 3 will hit. Right now, 0 out of 3. Right now, you're 0 for 3. But I mean, what was the optimal hope for here? 2 for 3, maybe.
Well, the optimal hope is that Corey Kluber is an ace Cy Young candidate like he's been in the past, but that's wishful thinking. He wasn't going to be that. And now you're kind of boxed in to getting it looks like they need a starting pitcher badly.
Well, right now they need to start hitting. Because if you
besides that, look, Brad, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Torres should get it together. DJ LeMahieu, they're all going to have their numbers. Luke Voigt, when he comes back, I don't see him scuffling at might take him a couple of games, a couple of weeks to get going after the injury, but the Yankees are going to get their numbers offensively, and the Yankees are going to score runs. I would identify the Yankees' biggest needs as defense and a starting pitcher, because I think their bullpen's pretty good.
I think a shortstop right now I think they need to get a shortstop, and they need to move Torres to third base. I think I think he's built to play third. He's a big guy. You know what? You don't have to have a lot of range. All you have to do is catch the ball, throw the ball. The throw at shortstop to first is actually a longer throw than the throw to third. A lot of times. I mean, listen, if you're trying to catch a ball at third base, a lot of times you're running in and making the cross body throw. But a lot of times when you're making plays at third base, you're running towards shortstop to field the ball anyway. So your momentum is carrying you over there as it is. Shortstop, you've got to make a lot of off-balance throws from the hole. And you know what? If your body isn't built right to be a shortstop, then you can't be a shortstop. You know, I mean, we didn't have this problem when he was playing second base. I mean, he was good at second base. He was very good at second base. It's just that he's not a shortstop. And until they do something to change that, you know, we're going to continue to have problems defensively.
Let's move on. Like my favorite team, the Philadelphia Phillies. I would agree to the poll. I think they are meeting my expectations. Look, you're 8-7. Look, this NL East is by far the best division in baseball. At least in my opinion, my assessment between my preseason prognostications and what I've seen through 15 games, the NL East is going to be a total grind. It's the best division in baseball. So you got to play 19 games against each of those 4 other teams. If you go 500 against those teams, I think you're doing pretty good. And then you got to beat up on the stinky NL Central, which totally stinks. The Cardinals stink. The Brewers stink. The Pirates stink. The Reds can hit, but we'll see. We've seen this with the Reds before.
They got great.
You know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen, Brad? I've been picking the. It's like you with the Lightning. You pick the Lightning to win the Stanley Cup every year we've been on the air since 2015. Every year since 2015, I tell everyone the Reds are going to be the surprise team and win the Central. I feel it this year. This is going to be the year. Then I pick the Brewers this year, and the Reds will win the Central. That's what's going to happen. But anyway.
Well, in all fairness to Milwaukee right now, Yelich is on the DL, so that or the IL, whatever you want to call it this year. That's a huge loss for them.
That is, but they got those pitchers. They got Burns and Woodruff, and they got that bullpen at the top. I like the Brewers. I think they're going to win the Central, but the Central stinks. If you win 80 games in the Central, that might be good enough to win the Central. And then out west, you got the Dodgers and the Padres, who are elite baseball teams. And then you got the Giants, the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks, who they stink too. So if you're not playing a division game or the Dodgers or the Padres, you got to win. And the Phillies did a great job getting 2 or 3 from a team that they're better than, the St. Louis Cardinals. Sorry, Chrome, but the Cardinals stink, Chrome. I'm sorry. I love you, but the Cardinals stink. I don't see them going to the postseason at all. You take 2 or 3. Aaron Nola pitches a complete game shutout today, a total gem. And remember, I told everyone, I get on Aaron Nola's case a lot. And I told him I needed to see the big boy pants for 162 games, and I need to see that you're an ace and you're a guy I can count on for the next 7 to 10 years. And so far, he's been that. He's still got to do it over 162 games, and he can't have these nonsense September swoons that he's been having. But he's been as advertised as an ace throughout this early season. Zach Wheeler has been excellent, and Zach Eflin has been excellent. So that's 3 at the top. So I'm confident they have 60% of a starting rotation, which I can't really say about your New York Yankees right now, who have the big payroll and all the expectations. The bullpen is
one. They have one. I'm going to give them 2 reliable starters right now because Montgomery's pitched pretty well, but they have 2 reliable starters and very strong bullpen, but they're not hitting. And until they start hitting, it's not going to matter. I mean, if you score 2 runs a game, it's not enough. You're not going to win, and you're not going to win in a league with a DH. Okay, scoring 2 runs a game, you're just not.
And then you got the offense, which has been frustrating. But you're still 8-7. You sweep the Braves in the opener, then you give it back. You did pretty well against the Mets. And you're doing this.
You gave it back on the road with the Mets, but I mean, listen, it's going to
happen. Look, I know I get on the Mets,
but you know what? They're all pretty good teams. They
got to do something about center field. I mean, center field is a black hole of death for this Phillies team right now. It is terrible. I mean, Roman Quinn. I can't watch Roman Quinn anymore. I'm sorry, the guy can't play. If the guy wants to go qualify for the Olympics running track, which he very well might do because he's very fast. God bless, all power to you. I hope you win a gold medal. You can't play center field for my baseball team. The only thing you can do is run. You can't get on base. You can't hit for average. You can't hit for power. You can't field. You can't throw. You got a noodle for an arm. I can't have you on my team. And I don't know what Joe Girardi's doing. Maybe it's just lack of other options. Because Adam Hazley, not only is he a stiff who was picked 7th in the draft by these genius scouts, he's left the team for personal reasons. I don't know what's going on. I hope he's okay. But even if he does come back and everything is okay, I don't think he can play. And I've been one of his biggest supporters about getting more playing time. But if it's been this long and a manager and general manager I trust in Dave Dombrowski and Joe Girardi, and I know Joe Girardi had a Gabe Kapler moment where he forgot how many mound visits they were and he was forced to take Zach Wheeler out of a game. I get all that, but Joe Girardi's a good baseball man and he's a good manager, and we're better off with him than Gabe Kapler. So if guys I trust,
at least Joe holds your guys accountable when they're screwing up.
But I mean, Brad, if a guy like Joe Girardi and Dave Dombrowski, like, they don't give this guy playing time and they continuously trot out Roman Quinn out there over Adam Hazley, then I guess Adam Hazley, according to our baseball people, the ones that I trust at least, I guess he can't play. So we scratch him off. And then Mickey Moniak, he comes up. He starts in center field today. Former number 1 overall pick, by the way. 2015 draft, first overall pick. He's just now making it to the majors in 2021.
Well, maybe he's a late bloomer.
I think Mickey Moniak's a no bloomer, Brad. He's not good. He's got. I mean, he looks like he needs a decent. Someone needs to grill this man like a 42-ounce tomahawk or something. I mean, this guy just looks puny and non-muscular up at the plate. And, maybe he can give you something in center from a defensive standpoint. But, I mean, in a league with no DH, like, I don't know. I need a little more offensively from my center fielder. So center field's a black hole. Matt Moore stinks. He's the 4th starter. He walks everyone.
Well, Matt Moore has been bad for a long time. I mean, the Phillies try to catch lightning in a bottle with him, and it is what it is. So I mean, they'll throw somebody else in there, and hopefully they'll try to find somebody who can go out there and pitch reasonably well.
But I mean, the bullpen is much improved. Now I know everyone wants to. Hector Neris, he blew a game in against the Mets. But, I mean, if they didn't have that goofy extra inning rule, which I know I've said I'm a fan of in the past, but the more I watch it, the more it's not real baseball.
That's a terrible rule. I mean,
Hector Neris blows a save in extra innings. It goes down as a blown save. It's not an earned run. But, if it's a normal inning, he doesn't let up any runs in that spot. Like, the guy's on second, he lets up a single, and all of a sudden the Phillies are losing. Or the Mets tie the game. I think it was 4-3, and then the Mets start with a guy on second. So he gave up a single, then it's 4-4, and it's a blown save. Is that really fair to hold Hector Neris accountable for that?
Rob, you know what? I hate that rule. I've been saying that I hate that rule because that's not baseball. It's a terrible rule. The only reason they do it is because they don't want to have long games. But you know what? How about waiting till the 12th inning to do that? If you really want to stop the game after at 10 innings, have the bases loaded and nobody out. Why don't you just do that? I mean, that'll guarantee you that the game's going to be over after 10 innings. I mean, that's how stupid to me the rule is. I mean, I know I have to turn something that's debatable into ridiculous. I get that. So, and I'm being facetious about that, but it's to me, if you're gonna do something like that. Okay, do it in the 12th inning. Play real baseball because most of these games are usually done by the 12th inning. After the 12th inning, I can understand because then you get to a point where you have to start using starters. Starters in your rotation, and it screws up your rotation for days. I get that. So that it wouldn't be so bad if you're doing that. But in the 10th inning, come on, play the damn game, play it right.
And then the Phillies from an offensive standpoint, I think once Andrew McCutchen gets going, Brad, who hits leadoff for this team every day, for better or worse, I think once he gets going, and I think he will, because I think there's still a little bit left in that tank, I think the Phillies offense will fall in line because Bryce is starting to heat up. Rhys Hoskins has okay stats, but I like the at-bats he's putting together. And Realmuto, he's going to get his numbers. Didi and Gene Segura, they're going to get their numbers. The only thing I worry about with Alec Bohm, and I love Alec Bohm, I think he's going to be a great player here for years to come. The more I see him at third base, the more I see what the scouts saw in him from a defensive standpoint or lack thereof. He's not a very good fielder. And that's another, like the Phillies, it's very close to mirror images of our teams. Not a lot of athleticism, not a lot of speed, bad defense. You're probably a starting pitcher short. The Yankees just have a better bullpen.
Yeah, good defense at shortstop, though. Didi's a good defensive player. Unless he.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
but
he's got range. I mean, that's for sure.
No, the problem with the Phillies defense is because Rhys Hoskins is a butcher at first, and Alec Bohm, while he has time to improve, he's not a very good third baseman, but he's a good hitter. This is why it's time. It's time for
you can excuse that.
Look, we need a DH. We need a DH in the National League.
Well,
it's time.
As long as COVID's around, they should have a DH.
They should anyway. Who wants to watch the pitcher run the bases? Like Max Fried, he's on my fantasy team for the Atlanta Braves, outstanding pitcher. He strains his hamstring running the bases.
Oh, listen, Rob, you're preaching to the choir about
Remember
that.
Chin-Ming Wong?
I hate seeing the pitchers.
Remember Chin-Ming Wong for the Yankees?
Yeah. Oh, I remember. He ruined his career.
Extremely good pitcher, sinker baller, got a lot of ground balls.
Yeah,
didn't have the gaudy strikeout numbers that you like for your fantasy team, but he was a good, solid workhorse pitcher. Yeah. He broke his foot running the bases in Houston. I think this was back when Houston was still
in the National League.
In the National League. That's how long ago this was. And he was really never the same since.
No, he never recovered from that.
Never recovered.
Nope.
So I'm ready, and I consider myself a baseball purist, and I'm very resistant to change when it comes to base. But anyone who doesn't want to see a DH in the National League is just a stubborn dinosaur. You're just a stubborn dinosaur who doesn't want to change anything, no matter what. Do you really want to pay $40 to sit there at the game, buy a $12 beer and $8 hot dog to watch Aaron Nola hit with 2 outs in the 6th to try and give himself an insurance run?
You know what? Here, you know what they say about what.
Bad example because you're probably going to pinch hit there.
But you know what though? I'll give you an example. Okay, as a Yankee fan, do you want Garrett Cole even going into the batter's box?
No, he makes $350 million. Absolutely not. I hear you.
If he has to go to a National League city to pitch, you know where I want him when he's hitting? I want him to go all the way to the back right corner of the batter's box.
Yeah, okay? Just stand there with the bat on your shoulder.
Take 3 pitches and get the hell out of there.
Yep. I would even tell the pitcher and the other manager, hey, he's just gonna stand here, pipe 3 right down the middle, and we'll take the out. That's it.
Just forget. You're not going to be. Listen, if you're CC Sabathia and you can actually hit, or if you're or if you're Degrom who can really hit, okay, that's a little different, But other than that, I don't want any of these guys anywhere near the batter's box. If they're used to running the bases, that's one thing. I mean, I can remember back in the day, pitchers used to always pinch run. If you remember back in the day when they wanted pinch runners, every team had one pitcher who could really run, and these guys used to run the bases a lot. But you know what? They don't train these.
Like guys. If you're stuck in the bottom of the 12th, you can put a pitcher in,
right? To
maybe play pinch hit, and maybe they can play left field or something.
mean, the great Oakland A's teams of the early 70s had a pitcher by the name of John Blue Moon Odom. Okay? And he was fast as hell. You know what? Every time the A's needed a pinch runner late in the game, he would pinch run. And he was, because he could fly, and he was a really good base runner. I think in college, I believe he played shortstop or something to that effect. And he was effective. And some of these guys can actually do it. But you know what? You don't want your $300 million pitchers running the bases. I mean, do you really want to see Aaron Nola running the bases, or Wheeler? I mean, no. I mean, you don't want to see that. You don't want these guys to get hurt. I mean, would you want to see Justin Verlander running the bases if he was still out there pitching, or Scherzer? You don't want to see any of these guys running the bases and getting up and I mean, suppose they hurt themselves. Andy Pettitte hurt himself, and he hurt himself with the Astros when he was in the National League for those 3 years. He hurt himself batting. It took him 2 years to recover. I mean, I don't know. The economics are that the National League teams don't want to pay for a DH, because a full-time DH that can hit is going to cost you between $10 and $15 million to get a good one. And that's the problem.
Yeah, but not necessarily. Not like you can scheme it. Look, as far as team and roster construction go, and from a payroll standpoint, yes, the National League will be behind when it comes to that. But let's look at it. Let's look at the Phillies. If you have a DH, a permanent DH in the National League, Rhys Hoskins is your DH. Alec Boehm's your your first baseman.
Right.
You're not going to have to pay Rhys Hoskins as your DH. Like, Rhys Hoskins is not a $10, $15 million a year player.
No,
he's not. Even at his offensive best. I mean, he's like a 260, 270 guy. Maybe he can pop you 30 homers if he gets hot.
Well, if he's doing that, he's going to
get on base, and he's going to
between 10 and 15 million for sure doing that.
But my point is, then you spend up for third base, a guy who can play third base every day, not spend up for a DH.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, you could do that if you want to do that. But I mean, like, take a look at like Nelson Cruz. How much money do you think he's making? Like, he's making over $10 million to DH for Minnesota, and the guy could still crush. But I mean, most DHs aren't cheap. In the American League, the top DHs are making some big money.
But like, I can put a defensive specialist at third.
Well, yeah, you can carry one or two guys that aren't big hitters if you have a DH. But most teams' DHs are batting in the middle of their lineups.
That's true.
In the American League, and I mean, I watch American League games every game, so I mean, I think I can tell you that's kind of how it goes. So.
All right, let's get to some comments here. Rosca, he's obviously an Angels fan. He's got to be pleased.
Looking good.
They are looking good. I picked them to go to the American League Championship Series against your Yankees. They're 8-5 right now. They should have won last night and today to be 9-5, 10. So the Angels are looking good. The Angels can hit, and boy, Ohtani is quite a player, Brad.
Oh yeah, and we've always spoken highly of Ohtani, and if he's going to continue to be a good pitcher, I mean, there's nothing that guy can't do.
If he hits 25, 30 home runs and he gets 10 wins and like 150 strikeouts, how is he not the American League MVP? Because I think those are attainable stats for him.
I know, but the problem you have with him is that they've never had a guy like this before, not since Babe Ruth. Pitchers have their own award. It's called the Cy Young Award. MVP is usually given to an everyday ball player.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for him,
but I got a guy who's at the top 25% of the league in both. How valuable is that?
Very valuable. I mean, let's see how he does for the whole season, and
I
then,
hear you.
and then we can really take a look and see what other players are doing and other pitchers are doing, and then we can figure out what's going on. What's going on there? I mean, look, he's a big time player. We know that. By the way, Boston, it looks like they may lose a doubleheader to the White Sox, and the White Sox are a good team.
That they are.
They are good. They can hit. I mean, they were missing their shortstop for a while, but he's back. And look out for them, because there's no real weakness with the White Sox. They lost Eloy Jimenez, which is a tough break for
very
probably
good young slugger.
Yeah, probably till August. So that's good. That's a tough break. But I mean, they're going to be a tough out no matter who's involved. One team I'm very disappointed in watching them play when they seem to have some good pitchers and good players on their team is the Minnesota Twins. I don't think
we both kind of called that in the.
Yeah, they just don't. I mean, for whatever reason, and I just don't understand why they would let Eddie Rosario go, and then have him
puzzling,
and then have him picked up by the Indians, who had no outfield at all, and then they pick him up, and I mean he's pretty good. And all of a sudden, Naquin starts hitting this year. Now all of a sudden, the Indians' outfield isn't so bad. And by the way, the Indians are playing pretty good ball this year.
Well, Naquin's in Cincinnati now.
Oh, Naquin's in Cincinnati?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So they have Franmil Reyes. They have.
Okay. My bad there. Okay.
Yeah, Eddie Rosario. Well, I know it's confusing. If you're looking at the box score, they're playing each other. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying. Well, I mean, I didn't know until Tyler Naquin was on the Reds until I picked him up on my fantasy baseball team because he was hitting pretty good.
Yeah, I thought Naquin. He's been on the Indians. I guess they picked the Reds.
He was on the Indians. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, but now they've got him. I mean, that's a strange team. I mean, you let him go, but you're counting on a guy like Jake Cave to do the job. I mean,
yeah, they're like skimping because, well, I mean, it's Cleveland too. It's not the Yankees. So like you gotta deal Lindor.
I guess
because you can't pay him.
The Indians, I understand the Indians because I mean with Lindor. Lindor's making what? How much a year? 25 million?
25, 30, I forget exactly what he signed for.
I don't remember exactly either, but I mean, he's making big money, and I can understand with the Indians with him. But I mean, Rosario is what, $10 million? You can't afford $10 million?
Yeah, I think he signed like a 1-year, $10 million deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, geez.
Maybe he's a jerk off. I don't know. Maybe he's a jerk off.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know that.
I see a guy that hits 30 homers a year, and then he's like.
Yeah, and he's the quietest 30 home run guy you'll ever know. The only reason Rob and I know Eddie Rosario is because we were always fighting for him in our fantasy.
Steal. Yeah, he was a steal.
Yeah, and he's always like
he doesn't even strike out that much.
No, and he's always available in like the 10th and 11th round. You're gonna
outfield's a deep position in fantasy.
Yeah, you get good outfield depth with him.
So yeah, Rosca, I would say the Angels are meeting expectations. I had high hopes for the Angels, and they're even meeting my expectations. Look, it's time for them to put up or shut up with Mike Trout. They have enough with Bundy and Ohtani and Haney in the rotation, and they have a great lineup. I know Rendon's a little banged up. He's on the IL. But you have Trout, you have Rendon, you have Ohtani in the field. You have great role players like David Fletcher and Justin Upton can still get a hold of one.
They've got enough. They've got enough offense.
They've got enough to win that West.
Yes,
they do.
Yes,
and you bring the closer in from Cincinnati, Iglesias, to lock down the back end. So
Houston is in big trouble right now. 5 guys out on COVID. It looks like they wasted a great start against the Athletics early in the season, and they've kind of let everything get away from them. So we'll see, but they've got a lot of problems right now. I mean, Bregman's on the COVID list. I think Altuve is on the COVID list. I think 3 other guys are on the COVID list as well. So Odorizzi hasn't really pitched all that well. They're struggling. They're struggling right now. So we'll see.
Michael Wesley Chromiak. He's in the house. Actually had to turn down an opportunity to watch the Phillies beat down the Cardinals with him on Friday night. Because I had to work. We had some tickets floating around, and I couldn't jump on the opportunity. He's probably happy I wasn't there because I would have been chirping the whole time. And you know I like my adult beverages when I'm watching my squad. So I mean he definitely would. It's a lot of love, but I definitely would have been chirping hard at him. Because the Phillies got in that ass on Friday night. Cardinals bounce back Saturday, and then the Phillies win the series today with an Aaron Nola complete game shutout.
If you're a Cardinal fan, I mean, and you're going to Philly.
Hold on, my team is definitely not meeting expectations. Guys who should be hitting aren't. Brutal. The problem with the Cardinals, though, Brad, is they're top heavy.
Yeah, well, they have two guys. They have two big hitters, and the rest of the team is very, very mediocre. And unless those two guys are on fire all the time, they're going to have trouble scoring runs. Even with Arenado and Goldschmidt.
I like this guy Tommy Edman they got. He looks like a player. He's like an outfield super utility guy. Can play all over.
No, I hear you. And DeYoung is okay, but I mean, they're not a big time offensive team.
But
right?
like, is Jake Flaherty like stinky Jake Flaherty? Like we saw. Better part of season last year, or is he the guy? Was it last year? Or was it last time there was 162 games? Like, is this guy an ace? He's like Aaron Nola. Like, are you an ace, Jake Flaherty? Are you an ace? Are you gonna pitch like you do down the stretch for 6 weeks out of the year? Can you extrapolate that to 162 games, or are you just up and down? You know, kind of a number two, number three guy.
He doesn't start pitching till August, and that's a problem.
I can't call those guys aces.
No, they're not. Flaherty is like Jack Flaherty's like a number two, number three. You know, I mean,
Pete Evans.
That's about it for him.
Pete Evans, he's in the house. Check out Pete on Birds of a Feather, getting near the NFL draft. Be a lot to talk about. I hate the NFL draft. Because this is the only time that trash hole, stink hole teams like the Eagles are like, we got to talk about all the bad teams. Like, you ever notice that the same teams are at the top of the draft every year?
Yeah, pretty much.
Every year.
Pretty much.
There's a select few.
Well, this is the lowest the Giants have drafted in a while. I think they're drafting, 11th?
Yes, they have the 11th pick. I mean, look, the Bengals, like, surprise, surprise, the Jets and the Bengals have top 5 picks. The Jaguars have a top 5 pick. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, this has been happening for years and years
now. Victoria Taylor. Victoria Taylor is a supporter of the Philadelphia Phillies. She disagrees. She does not think the Phillies are meeting expectations. They're back and forth, but because of that, I wouldn't say they're exceeding anything yet, but I hope. I miss Phillies baseball in October. And yes, she hates the Nets.
Doesn't
we had some the Yankees just took the life out of me. I'm done. So Blue Empire Sports checking in on YouTube. If you're checking in on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications.
They're not gonna watch the Yankees anymore. You know what? Then go watch the Mets. Nobody needs you.
Yankees fans are guilty of this more than any other fan base. I'm done. 5-10. Done. $208 million payroll. I'm done.
Well, to be done is ridiculous. To be disgusted, yeah, you can be disgusted. I'm disgusted with them, but yeah, I can guarantee you tomorrow night I'll have the TV on. I think who are they playing this week? Who are they? I'm trying to remember who they're playing this week. I can't even remember who they're playing this week. I think they have Atlanta next weekend, which is not. But at least I know that they're not playing the Blue Jays and they're not playing Tampa Bay. I mean, maybe with the Yankees, maybe it's just the competition. The two teams that gave them a lot of trouble last year. Maybe they're playing them and they're not playing well. And maybe when they start playing other teams, they'll wake up. I don't know. Who the hell knows? I mean, it's pretty frustrating, but we'll see what happens.
Trying to figure out here for my fantasy team. Should be pretty easy. I mean, I do have Clinton Frazier. Yeah, you got Atlanta on Tuesday. Off tomorrow, Atlanta Tuesday.
Atlanta. Okay, so we're playing Atlanta. Lovely. I
At
think
home.
2 games at home, right?
You're at home Tuesday.
Yeah, 2 games at home with Atlanta, Tuesday and Wednesday.
I mean, it's not getting any easier for the Yankees. Atlanta's
but
a good team.
I know that. I mean, look, at this point, you could just hope that they start hitting soon, because that's really, to me, the hitting is the problem. I think the pitching kind of takes, if the Yankees are scoring 5, 6, 7 runs a game, like you would expect them to, if the starting pitchers are letting up 3 runs in 5 innings, nobody's going to notice.
Okay, it's 15 games out of 162. The season's like 0.5% over.
No, Rob, all I'm saying is, you know what, as disgusted as I am with them,
I would be disgusted too. That's fine.
Yeah, but do you think I'm not going to watch them? I'll be at the damn TV
center.
center.
But Blue Empire Sports, they're done. So I guess they're not watching anymore.
Well,
27 world championships, and you start 5-10, and you're done.
Go watch the Mets then. And you know what? In June, when the Mets are 3rd place, 7, 8 games out of 1st place, you know what? Then come back and talk to me when the Yankees are, have gotten their acts together and are playing better.
Tom Arnone, he's in the house. He's in the chat. He'll be on later tonight, ranting and raving about God knows what. You got to tune in to find out. He agrees to the poll, so he likes what the Phillies are doing, 8-7. I agree with Tom. This team is meeting my expectations so far. Greg Milakovic.
You're playing well against the Braves. You beat the Braves, 4 out of 6?
Yeah, and you ended up getting a split with the Mets, right?
Okay, but the Mets a bad team?
No. I hate them, but they're not a bad team. No.
Yeah, I mean, you're not, it's not like you got a split against the Pirates. I mean, you have to look at it more than one way at this point. By the way, Rob, what the heck is going on with the Philadelphia Flyers these days?
I don't know. They stink.
I mean, it's kind of now gotten to a point where they're done as far as the playoffs are concerned. I mean,
no, they're definitely out. They're definitely out as far as the playoffs are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, they're 10 points behind, and Boston has 2 games in hand, something like that. I mean, yeah, they're 10 points behind, and now Boston has a game in hand. I mean, they're not the way. I mean, the Rangers are only 4 points behind them. But, I mean, it's the way Boston's playing right now, I don't have any faith in anybody catching them. Boston, since they got Taylor Hall, they've been rolling. Just absolutely rolling.
Yeah, and then Boston gets another big win today. They've got to play all these games because of COVID, and you think they're going to tucker out and run out of steam. I mean, they 6-3 over the Capitals. I mean,
and the Capitals were down 2-0. They had 3-2, and I'm saying to myself, okay, here we go. Capitals are going to beat the Bruins, and the Rangers are going to beat the Devils. And the Rangers are only going to be 2 points behind, and they're really going to have the pressure on them. But the Bruins just keep pulling along. And ever since got Taylor Hall, it seems like their offense is back now. And I don't know how. I said at the beginning of the season that I just didn't know how the Rangers were going to find a way to get into the playoffs in this division. And that's basically what it is. Any other division, the Rangers would be in the playoffs this year. In our division, no. So next year, but you know what? The building blocks are there. So hopefully, we can have some good pickups in the summer, and we'll see what happens.
Getting a few more baseball comments. Greg Milakovic, he agrees to the poll. Phillies frustrating at times, but it's about what he expected. Look, I still see
it's still really.
I really do. I really think that this team's going to make the playoffs. They need to get Kutch going, Andrew McCutchen going at the top of the lineup. Because Bryce is starting to get hot. Hoskins is having good ABs. and I'm confident that Didi and Gene are going to get their numbers. If you get a center fielder in here and get Kutch going, sky's the limit for this lineup. But center field needs to be addressed.
You could have Aaron Hicks. Oh yeah,
I'll take him.
Yeah,
I'll take him.
You could give us a carton of baseballs.
That's fine.
We'll even
Rob
the salary.
I mean, Brad, they have high A-ball talent in AAA in center field right now. Like Roman Quinn, like it's bad. It's really bad. Aaron Hicks would be Willie Mays compared to the trash that I've been watching in center field for the Philadelphia Phillies.
You've been watching Hicks at all, boy. Hicks has been bad. He's been bad. He's getting. I mean, Yankee fans usually save the venom for guys like Stanton, but now Hicks is the new target.
Rob Povia, he's a Mets fan. Catch him out on the Hockey Happy Hour. He agrees the Mets are meeting his expectations. Mets are pitching well, playing solid defense, and getting some timely hits and blowing leads, just as expected. First off, Jacob Degrom is an unbelievable. He might be the best pitcher I've ever seen.
He's really good. He is really good.
Now, I go back to like 89.
He's the
watching
best
sports since 1998. I think Jacob Degrom is the best pitcher I've ever seen.
He's the best pitcher I've seen since Pedro. I mean, I think that's pretty good.
That's a good name, Pedro.
Yeah, he's probably the best pitcher I've seen since Pedro. I mean,
he struck out 9 batters in a row the other night.
Yeah, guy's unbelievable. The guy, I mean, I'll tell you what. When he gets to pitch doubleheaders, 7-inning doubleheaders, he's going to pitch a complete game every time, and he won't have to worry about the bullpen blowing it for him. And when the Mets don't score, he can knock in runs himself. I mean, he's fabulous.
And he hits the ground running. I'm just looking at it because he's 8 years in and he's 33 now. He was a late bloomer. He didn't start. He's actually drafted as a shortstop. Mets.
That would explain why he's such a good hitter.
Converted to a pitcher. So he makes his big league debut at 26 in 2014.
I remember his first game was his first game was against the Yankees, and the Yankees had a guy by the name of Chase Whitley starting against him. And I remember Degrom pitched 6 scoreless innings, and everybody, as far as Yankee fans are concerned, was like, we can't even hit a rookie, Jake Degrom. And, we were all joking and calling him Cy Degrom because, he stopped the Yankees one night, and we were joking about it. And all of a sudden, now he's the best pitcher in baseball, so he is Cy Degrom.
He went on to win Rookie of the Year that year, 144 strikeouts in 144 innings, a 2.69 ERA with a win-loss record of 9-6.
His win-loss record hasn't been good because the Mets bullpen has always been.
Well, they've stunk. The bullpen blows it, and then every time he goes out there and pitches a gem, the Mets don't score for him.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter who he seems to be pitching against them. They always do the same darn thing every time.
He's a 3-time All-Star. He's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, and he is an ERA. He's an ERA champion.
Yeah, when he's pitching, the best thing you can do is try to manipulate his pitch count, so you only have to deal with him for maybe 6 innings. If he can get into the 7th inning, you're not gonna beat the Mets when he's pitching.
Look at what he did in 2018: 269 strikeouts, 46 walks. 2019, 255 strikeouts, only 44 walks. In the COVID bubble, 104 strikeouts. Remember, that's only 60 games to 18 walks. He has a strikeout to walk ratio this year of 35-3, Brad. No, 35-3.
He's ridiculous.
He has a 0.45 whip through 20 innings, and he has an 0.45 ERA. He has a 0.7 whip so far in his age 33 season. And he's probably got a lot of gas left in that tank. because it's only his eighth year pitching.
Right, because he didn't come up till pretty late.
And he didn't have the innings of his arms that a 26-year-old that's gone through the minors for several years has on it.
Pretty much. So, yeah, I mean he's getting right now age is not a factor for him at all. I mean, I think he's going to be probably good till he's about 36, 37, the way he pitches. He's also a smart pitcher too.
It is the Mets, and I hate them, and I hate to give him credit for anything, but Jacob Degrom is all that.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you have to give credit where credit is due. The guy is a terrific pitcher.
And Rob Povey, he chimes in on the Yankees. Poor calls by Goon, but it's only a matter of time before that lineup starts hitting on all cylinders. When Voit is back, it could spring toward them. So Povey, he's looking for Voit to come back and jumpstart you guys.
Yeah, I think he will, but I mean, Voigt's not due back, I think, until the middle of May. So I mean, we still have 4 weeks to go before we see him back. You know, I mean, Voit is a terrific hitter. Don't get me wrong. Voit will hit the ball to right field. You can't shift him because he'll get base hits to right field. He's a terrific player. He not a great defensive player, but I mean, he's a terrific hitter. He's very dangerous. Takes advantage of the Yankees the right field fence. You know, it's really unfortunate that they lost him, but that's not the reason the Yankees aren't winning right now. One guy does not make a team. It's the other 8 guys, and none of them are really hitting.
Evan Taylor, he's checking in on YouTube. Evan, if you haven't already, close out that chat, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. You know what? If you don't like what we're saying, you think we're a bunch of morons, hit the dislike button. That's fine too. It's Agree Disagree Radio. He likes they're not doing Philly. He's a Phillies fan. Phillies aren't doing bad so far, but you never know with them. Ryan Hart didn't have high expectations going in with a makeshift rotation and aging vets, but I'm happy with where they're at right now. So Phillies Nation seems to be relatively pleased with the 8-7 start.
As they should be. You know, they're going to start playing some of the crappier teams in the league pretty soon.
Right. So you got to bash up. First off, they got to, if you want to win this division, well, Washington, they don't look all that great right now. Trey Turner's hitting and Juan Soto's hitting, but Patrick Corbin with the 40 ERA, that's not going to get it done. I mean, he's 2-3 years into a 7-year, $140 million contract.
Well, we all know he was overpaid. I mean,
he was overpaid, but I can justify it because they won a championship.
Yeah, they did.
And he's not going to have a 40 ERA over 162 games, whether he's going to live up to his contract or not. But he'll get better.
They need guys like Robles to start producing.
When's he gonna go? I mean, he's been a top prospect forever, and he can't. They tried to put him at leadoff, and he scuffled. They had to put Trey Turner back up there, and he's just floundering at the plate. I mean, he can't get on base enough to use his speed. He is a pretty good defender. I'll give him that. He doesn't bring his struggles at the plate into the field, but
if you're an outfielder, you got to be able to hit. Outfield is not a defensive position. Outfield is an offensive position. You know,
and
left. You can always hide him in left field if you have to.
Well, they're hiding Schwarber in left field right now.
Oh, right.
So they're stuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a tough situation for them, but he needs to get going. I mean, there's a couple of guys on that team that really need to get going. It's not just one guy, but they seem to be scuffling as well.
All right, let's talk a little draft, talk a little NBA. All right, talk a little draft, then we'll talk the NBA. 12 with the Eagles. Now, this team. They're going to give me a heart. It's just so much agita to be an Eagles fan. Thank God I saw one in 2017. Thank God I saw one, Brad.
Yeah, well, I mean, and they had a great year. That was a magical year for them. You know, I mean, it's really hard to win a Super Bowl, Rob.
Because now they're talking about trading back up.
But then why do they trade down for?
Good point. It's a good point, Brad. But now the reports are, I don't even know. I can't even talk about it without getting a stomach ache. I can't even talk about the Eagles without getting a stomach ache. It's so bad because they don't have a franchise quarterback, in my opinion, that they've totally botched. You just stay at 6. Just stay at 6. You got no playmakers for Jalen Hurts. You stay there. You take Pitts. You take Jamar Chase. Easy. And I get it. You want to trade down, you get more bites at the apple.
But now you may or may not get them. Who knows?
No, I think they screwed themselves out of getting one of the top 4 pass catchers in this draft: Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle. And look, if they get,
do you think that they purposely are tanking this year so they can get a real high pick next year? I mean, I just don't know what they're doing.
They don't have to tank. They're going to be bad because I don't think Hurts can play. And even if Hurts can play, there's so many holes on this roster that even in a stinky division like the East, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle.
That's true.
Bob Brinkman, they should have kept 6. I totally agree with you. And you're guaranteed to get a pass catcher, which is 1,000% this team's biggest need right now. I think second would be secondary help.
I agree with you about that.
And third would be linebacker.
Well, they could get a good linebacker at 12.
Yes, Bob Brinkman, quality, not quantity when it comes to the draft. Absolutely. And I understand math and probability that if you have more bites at the apple, I can't keep hearing, you can't get them all wrong. This guy might. And I'd much rather take a guy at 6 like Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts, a guy that I know is going to step in right away and play. SEC studs. Did they watch the draft? Did they watch everyone last year that did good? Jerry Jeudy, he's a pretty good rookie. Where'd he play college ball?
He was real good.
Where'd he play? He played Alabama. That's in the SEC. Justin Jefferson, he almost had 1,400 yards receiving last year. Where'd he play college ball?
Didn't he play at LSU?
He played at LSU. What conference did they play in?
The Southeast.
The SEC. We've talked ad nauseum, Brad, about the 4 top-tier playmakers in this draft: Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, whatever order you want to put them in. Florida, LSU, 2 from Alabama. Where do those teams play college football?
In the Southeast Conference.
In the Southeastern Conference. Where do the best players play?
All in the SEC.
Where do the Eagles consistently go out of their way not to draft their players from? What conference?
For some reason, the SEC. Don't really
understand. Why? You have 4 guaranteed top playmakers in this draft. You have the 6th pick. You have all these quarterbacks that are going to go. And San Francisco guarantees that you're going to get one because they make the big move up from whatever it was, 14 to 3.
Well, they're going to draft
the Dolphins. They're not doing that to draft Kyle Pitts, or else they're idiots because they already have the best tight end in the league in George Kittle.
They're not
one of them, at least.
They're going to draft a quarterback.
The Jets traded Sam Darnold. They're drafting a quarterback. The Jacksonville Jaguars are drafting Trevor Lawrence because he's about as can't miss as you can get when it comes to NFL prospects.
You have three quarterbacks going in the first 3 rounds. But
then let's say the Falcons, let's say they could take Penei Sewell. They could pick Kyle Pitts. I get it, but then you just sit there, you take Jamar Chase. Who's my preference? I would rank them Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith.
What about Waddle? We forgot him.
No, he's 3rd.
So Waddle, okay.
Chase, Pitts, Waddle.
Oh, okay. And
Smith.
Okay, gotcha. I mean,
you're gonna get Chase at 6. I mean, I know you get 5, and they say they like they say they like Jamar Chase because he played with Joe Burrow at LSU. I think that's a stupid reason to draft a player, but Jamar Chase is really good, especially
Are there any offensive linemen that are worth picking?
I mean, Atlanta, there's Sewell and there's the guy from Northwestern.
Because they've got to protect their quarterback. I mean,
That's the reason that he got killed last year by Chase Young because they couldn't block. But
they couldn't block anybody last year. Listen, as far as drafting later, okay, I mean, the Redskins got Patrick Queen at 22, didn't they? Or who got Patrick?
The Ravens. As the Ravens
got Patrick Queen at 22. Patrick Queen was tremendous last year.
Might have even been later than that.
Was it later than that?
Maybe. I mean, the Ravens, they're always pretty good. So
I know it was in the 20s, but I mean, that guy was really good. I mean, he kind of stood out to me because when the Giants played against him, he was dominant. They couldn't block him at all. And I know the Giants have a bad offensive line and blah blah blah, but the point is, I don't watch the Ravens every week. I do watch the Giants every week, and if a guy stands out, and that guy was tremendous. So I mean, you can get good linebackers at 12. I mean, maybe they're draft defense. Maybe that's why they move back. I mean, I don't know how he's playing is. I'm not sure.
He doesn't have one. He's scrambling. He's scrambling with this rebuild to save his job because he's a coward.
I mean, is Mac Jones? Is he going to be picked?
I wouldn't pick Mac Jones in the first round.
But
he
might get picked in the first round. He could get picked in the top.
He probably will be because quarterbacks are overinflated. The only quarterback I would pick in the top 10 is Trevor Lawrence. I think you're taking it, and I wouldn't have traded Sam Darnold like the Jets did at all. I think Sam Darnold's pretty good. I think you can definitely Sam Darnold is talent enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl in this league. Now, can he carry a team like Patrick Mahomes?
He does have talent, but I think he needed a change of scenery. I think
and I think that's a good spot for him in Carolina.
Yeah, they've got some guys. I mean, they've got obviously a great running back in McCaffrey. Hopefully he'll be healthy this year, so that'll take a little pressure off him. So, but Carolina also they're going to be. When are they drafting? Like 5th, 6th?
They're 8th.
8th. Well, you could bet they're probably going to draft a receiver.
I don't know because they rules of defensive guy. They could get a lineman. They could get a receiver. They could get a defensive guy.
Yeah, but their defense was pretty good though last year. I mean,
and they're all young. Every Matt Rule's first draft, they went straight defense.
Yeah,
I don't think they drafted an offensive player.
I would be very surprised if they didn't go out and get a receiver. So I think that they're going to get a receiver. Who's drafting 5th? I know the Falcons are 4.
So it's the top. The San Francisco slides into 3 with the trade. 4 is Atlanta. 5 is Cincinnati.
Okay, Cincinnati. If they don't go offensive line, that would be clueless. They've got a block for their quarterback. You take a receiver in like the 3rd round. You can always find a decent receiver later in the draft. You don't necessarily.
The Eagles can't.
The only way you go out and you get a receiver is if you already are pretty much set with your other positions. Then you go get a receiver in the 1st round. But other than that, I mean, that's getting a receiver. Getting a receiver is for teams that are pretty set and need a little jolt offensively.
Bryce Blackfell, you draft SEC, ACC, Big Ten. I hate painting with a broad brush, but I mean, players, not even ACC, SEC, Big Ten would get an extra check mark in my
Big Ten. It seems like the quarterbacks are never good in the pros in the Big Ten.
Yeah, but the college football is changing. A lot of that is because
I hope so.
Yeah, but like Ohio State in the 70s didn't have pro quarterbacks because they just ran the football all the time and ran stupid wishbone and Mickey Mouse formations that were never going to fly in the NFL.
Right, and so did Nebraska.
Yeah.
But Nebraska wasn't in the top. Nebraska was not in the just recently joined the Big Ten.
They recently joined, but yeah, players like that who don't traditionally have good quarterbacks that come into the pros, like Ohio State and Nebraska and things like got teams that ran the wishbone for 50 years, 150 years, and won all these games just because they got bigger, stronger trench guys. Like that's changing. So
Yeah,
the quarterback.
It's going to be more like the USC teams in the '60s. Even though they had O.J. Simpson, they still had good quarterbacks who could throw the ball down the field back then.
So like when people look at Justin Fields and say Ohio State quarterbacks are never good in the pros, like I think that's short-sighted and lazy.
Yeah, I know. I agree. You know, Justin Fields looks like he's going to be pretty good.
Justin Fields is unlike any quarterback that Ohio State has ever had.
Yeah, he was. Well, I mean, the quarterback they had before him, the one that's on New Orleans now, he's pretty good.
The one that's on New Orleans?
Yeah, he's on New Orleans now. It's the third string quarterback. I can't remember what his name was. I liked him though. I know he's more of a runner, but he was pretty good. Yeah.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
He was a black guy, a quarterback. The Ohio State had a black guy who was a quarterback.
Troy Smith. They had Troy Smith. They had Haskins. They had Terrell Pryor, who was a quarterback.
No, it wasn't one of those. It wasn't one of those guys. It was I can't remember the guy's name.
Saints.
What was his name? I can't remember.
I'm looking it up because I'm curious.
Yeah, no, they had a pretty good quarterback right before. It was right before
Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian are their quarterbacks.
Well, Siemian, we all know where he ended up. He was terrible.
Yeah, he stinks. JT Barrett.
JT Barrett, that's the one.
Bob Brinkman says you need.
I love JT Barrett. I thought he was a pretty good quarterback, but I mean, then again, you know, it's what they do in the pros is maybe his arm isn't good enough to be a pro quarterback. I mean, that could be part of it too. I mean,
but yeah, I think the Jets made a huge mistake trading Sam Darnold. Then are going to overdraft Zach Wilson or Justin Fields.
Well, I think it's going to be Wilson. I think that's going to be their guy. When you get a new coach, a lot of times these coaches want to pick their own quarterback.
I mean, second overall, you're taking Zach Wilson, and then what are you going to do? You're going to start him right away? I mean, who's their backup? I mean, that seems like a recipe for disaster, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if this is the route they want to go, then I guess that then so be it. I mean, you know, they did pick up a few guys in free agency, so we'll see what happens with them.
Because I want to work with this again. Let me pull up the Draft Network here.
Okay, Dustin Whiting. You know, who do we have the Falcons getting? I mean, Rob thinks.
I think they're going to pick Pitts.
Yeah, Rob thinks they're going to go with one of the four receivers, so or the tight ends in his case. So I mean,
no, because they're not going because they have Ridley and Julio Jones. I mean,
the problem with them is that as far as defense is concerned, the top edge rushers and guys like that are not going to be picked in the fifth pick.
We'll see if they trade, but I mean, I wouldn't pick a quarterback if I were Atlanta.
Nah, Matty Ice is still going to be good. And I mean, I can't imagine they would do that. Not at this point.
All right, so I have the draft. The Draft Network is a great site. They have this mock draft machine that all the fans can go on and they simulate the draft, and you can pick and choose who you want to pick. So let's play this out and try and see who's going to be there at 11 and 12 and 10 for the NFC East. Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, the teams that are chasing the Washington football team. So first overall is Jacksonville. They're taking Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe one.
Zach Wilson's going second. Justin Fields, I would pick Justin Fields third. You're out of your mind if you're taking.
If you're San Francisco, you got to take him.
If you're taking Mac Jones over Justin Fields, you're giving up all that draft capital for Mac Jones. I mean, come on. John Lynch is way smarter than that. He's taking Justin Fields. He's not unless he fell in love with Kyle Pitts.
No, they're not going to do that.
I mean, there's an outside chance of that.
They've already got they're solid at tight end. What do they need another tight end for?
I hear you, but I don't know.
To do that. I mean, if I were them,
look, we haven't taken Fields.
Yeah,
I don't think you trade up and take Mac Jones like a psycho.
No,
that's suicide. Then at 4, you have Atlanta. I'm going to pencil them in for Kyle Pitts.
That would make sense. Or Surtain.
At 5, Cincinnati, you got to take the best offensive tackle on the board, Penei Sewell, out of Oregon. Then LSU, Miami's at 6, where the Eagles should be picking. They're going to go ahead and pick Jamar Chase.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, they big-time playmaker. Now you have Detroit at 7.
Detroit, interesting situation with Detroit. Detroit has pretty good receivers, even though they
lost Galladay to you guys.
Yeah, they might pick a receiver at 7. Although if I were them, I think I would be going offensive line, because I think I'd want to be running the ball based on the quarterback whom they have right now, which
is Jared Goff for those who were.
Yes, they traded Matt Stafford. So now Jared Goff is going to be their quarterback. So I would think that I would want to definitely go offensive line and try to start running the ball a little more, because I don't think you want Jared Goff to be.
But Rashawn Slater, we'll take Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle, who I like out of Northwestern.
Okay.
To Detroit at 7. Then you have Carolina.
I would think that they're going to go after one of the receivers.
Okay, so I like Waddle over Smith, so we'll give them Waddle.
Okay.
Then you have Denver. Now everybody thinks Denver needs a quarterback. Am I the only one in the whole world that thinks Drew Lock can play? Has the potential to be able to play? We'll see. But I'm not giving up on Drew Lock. I want to see them with a somewhat normal offseason with all those young guys. You know, before I go picking a quarterback.
I think part of Denver's problem is their offensive line. Again, another team that needs an offense.
Well, there's only two premier offensive tackles, and they're already off the board.
Okay, so maybe they go for a receiver too.
I mean, they have Sutton, they have Judy, they have Hamler.
Yeah, they're not going to do that, because I forgot that they had Judy. They'll end up picking a.
It leaves me with who I think is the best football player on the board at 9, which is Patrick Surtain. So I'm going to go ahead and pencil him in at number 9.
He's a linebacker, isn't he?
He's a cornerback at Alabama. Remember his dad, Patrick Surtain? He was a really good player for the Dolphins.
He was a real good player, Patrick Surtain. So
and then you got now we're up to Dallas. Now we're up to Dallas at 10.
They're not going to pick a receiver, Rob. I think we could be pretty safe. That's a pretty safe bet.
But you got to think that they're going
to go defense. They're going to take the best defensive player that's available.
Do you have a suggestion, or do you just want me to fill it in? Because
who's the edge rusher that's supposed to be pretty good? There's one edge rusher that they're saying is probably going to go in the 20s, but I could see Dallas reaching and trying to get an edge rusher because they need one in the worst way.
You have Kwity Paye out of Michigan. You have Jalen Phillips, who I like, out of Miami.
So then you take Phillips then. And then you get to the Giants.
They got it because okay.
You get to the Giants, and you could get Devontae Smith. They could pick him. I could see that. If there's no edge rusher or there's no offensive lineman for the Giants to pick.
I mean, this is a dream. Is this not a dream for the Giants to get Daniel Jones, a receiver like Devontae, a dynamic playmaker like Devontae Smith?
Could happen. I mean,
here at the 11th, you make the pick. You tell me the position.
The Giants, I would pick Smith.
Okay, so let's do it. So now all four guys. No, because so now it's playing out. After we talked it out, that the Eagles are not going to have a chance at any of the top four playmakers because Devontae Smith goes for to the Giants at 11, and that's the fourth. Because what did we have?
All the top offensive linemen are gone. So
because we had Waddle at 8. So we just to review, we had Pitts at 4, Jamar Chase at 6, Waddle at 8 to Carolina, and Devontae Smith to the New York Football Giants at 11. So now you're stuck, and look who's sitting there. Look who's sitting there staring you right in the face out of North Dakota State. A quarterback named Trey Lance. And if this is how the board falls off, and they pick Trey Lance because he was, quote, the best player on the board, I'm going to short circuit and lose my mind. I am.
I don't think
I really am.
I don't see why they would do that. I would think that they'd be looking for for either a receiver or a real good linebacker because that's what they need.
I'm gonna make the pick here. There's a cornerback by the name of J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. You remember Joe Horn, Brad?
Yes, I do.
It's his kid.
Well, yeah, a secondary player. It works too. That's what
you pair him up with Slay. I think that at the risk of upsetting the Penn State contingent, the brainwashed Penn State contingent we have in this region that think all their players are all that in a bag of chips, I'm going to pick J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. I put a list on Facebook at a top 5 targets I would want at 12. I didn't learn until after I posted that list that Joe Horn was J.C. Horn's dad. So that's obviously, I like the bloodlines. Is my point.
Oh yeah, because the guy's been around football his whole life, so you got to figure, he's, he doesn't want to let his dad down, and he'll want to make his dad proud. So that's a good. I think that would be a solid pick. I think the Eagles really need that. I mean, if you take a look, if the Giants are gonna draft Smith, and they've already got Galladay, and then you've got Slayton, you've got 3 pretty good receivers. I guess they're gonna keep Ingram. So the Giants are going to have a lot of receivers. Dallas obviously has some pretty good receivers. The Redskins, somebody's got to cover McLaren, and I don't think it's going to be Slay. So, I mean, that would be a very good idea for them to draft. I think they need their problem, in my opinion. I know that Carson Wentz had a bad year, and yada yada yada. If you can't get one of the top receivers, you got to go defense. You got to get yourself a good young corner.
Mac Jones looks like Tom Brady when Tom Brady was coming out of the draft. I mean, it's Mac Jones is not in shape. I don't understand how anyone can spend a first-round pick, a top 10 pick on Mac Jones. I mean, Alabama, they've won the championship with Greg McElroy, with Jake Coker. Like they just have animals on both sides of the ball at every position,
McElroy,
4 or 5 deep.
In all offense, McElroy, I thought looked pretty good. Was good in college.
They have college guys. They don't have guys that are going to step in and take your franchise to the next level at quarterback. They just need a guy that keeps the train on the tracks.
They never really get guys like that to be quarterback, though. That's not.
Well, they got Tua. So
okay, well he was one. Okay, but I mean, other than Tua, though, really, how many quarterbacks, and don't start with Joe Namath. That's a long time ago. How many really good quarterbacks have come out of Alabama? Not all that many.
No, you're right. And then Kwity Paye is going to Minnesota. I think that'd be a really good fit. We picked Jalen Phillips out of Miami just because it's a guy that I like, and Dallas needs defense. But Kwity Paye, he's got a way higher ceiling. He's got a high ceiling out of Michigan. It's a guy to keep on. It's a guy to keep an eye on for Dallas and New York, and maybe a guy like Matt Rule falls in love with him at 8. But if this board falls the way that I envision it, and they take Trey Lance, I'm going to melt down. I
can't imagine they would do something that dumb. But look, Howie. Howie has not exactly been a pinwheel of fortune lately at the draft table at all. So.
Then let's keep going with this to round out the show. I'm having fun.
Okay.
Pick 13 is the Chargers.
The Chargers could really, really use an exciting receiver.
I mean, they're kind of all gone. You could reach.
What about
What
about a running back?
That's interesting. That's a good idea, Brad.
That they could pull it off because you know what? They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good defensive line. They have some talent. Go and get the best running back in the draft, and wouldn't that be the guy in Alabama?
I think it's the guy on Clemson, Travis Etienne.
Etienne was on.
He's Clemson, yes.
Okay, that was the guy I was thinking of.
So there we go, Sports Hounds mock draft.
That's. I mean, if I'm San Diego, I think that's who I would want to get. I mean, I think that he would complete that team.
Now you got pick 14. I like the comments there from Mr. Michigan there. I think Kwity Paye. Nah, I don't know.
Who's at 14?
Minnesota. So you got a quarterback.
Minnesota's defense really has gone to pot the last couple of years. So, if I'm Minnesota, I think I'd want a defensive player. It just seems like their defense completely fell apart.
I mean, Micah Parsons is still there.
Yeah, but some of the guys on that team completely fell off the cliff for no apparent reason. So, I think you know what I'm talking. We talked about this last year. When their defense is starting to fade a little bit. Because Minnesota's offense is always going to be a little bit conservative just because they have a great running back. So, if you have a great running back, you want to have a real good defense because you want to be able to control the ball and then get the ball back and continue to control the ball. They got.
I like the guy from the comments that was a Michigan fan.
Hey, cool. And Jefferson, you got some good offensive players.
So Minnesota, they get Kwity Paye out of Michigan, like the gentleman in the comments who's a Michigan fan suggested. We just picked him, Dustin, at 14. I think he's a good fit at 17 with Oakland. I think he's a good fit a lot of places. I think he's a good fit at 10 and 11 with Dallas and New York. I think he's a good fit at 8 with Carolina. It only takes one team to, fall in love with a guy, and we're talking about it now. What's a reach? If the Eagles took a kicker at 12, that's a reach, and that's you're getting crushed.
What do you think of the big-time running back out of Indiana, Steven Scott?
Don't know much about him, but I like Big Ten guys.
He was really good this year. It seemed like Indiana when they had the left-handed kid as the quarterback.
Yeah, Penix.
Yeah, before he got hurt, he looked really good, and Scott looked terrific as the running back on that team. That offense was really rolling, and it was Steven Scott was the running back on that team. I kind of like the way that team played and the way he ran. I don't know if he's a first-round pick, but I think he'll be pretty good.
They have a safety that I would love the Eagles to get at either second or third round. His name's Jamar Johnson. He's a big-time playmaker.
They've got
on a really good defense. He knows how to get the football, and he knows what to do with it at the safety position when he gets his hands on the football. I think that would be a great fit for pretty much any team in the whole league. Bryce Blackwell, Drew Lock sucks to me. Where did this narrative come from that Drew Lock stinks? Like, has he proven he's a franchise quarterback yet? No. But I mean,
Denver doesn't really have a whole heck of a lot of weapons offensively, though. That's been part of
what do you mean? They have Jerry Jeudy. They have guys who are hopefully going to grow into that.
Yeah, I mean, last year, I mean, Jeudy was a good pick for them, but I mean, the problem with that team is that they don't score enough. And when you don't score enough, everybody's going to look at the quarterback. And I'm sure they're probably frustrated as hell to see that the Chargers went and got Justin Herbert. I mean, if you're a Bronco fan and you see Justin Herbert getting drafted by the Chargers, and I think he was like 8th, 9th, or something like that. He wasn't really necessarily a high first round pick. Wasn't he like 8th or 9th or 10th or something like that last year?
Who were you saying? I was filling in some of this mock draft.
Justin Herbert. When was he drafted?
He was the 3rd pick in the draft.
He was the 3rd pick? I thought it was later than that.
Maybe he was in the top 10.
Yeah, he was in the top 10, but I don't think he was the 3rd. I think he went down. I think he was down like 8 or 9.
I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
But that's probably got to irritate them quite a bit if I'm a Denver fan. My feeling is you got rid of Rivers, and really you end up getting that guy. So
up to 17 with Oakland. I got a couple linebackers going next. Micah Parsons going to Penn State, and Jamin Davis going to Arizona. Now we're up to Oakland.
Arizona's defense did let them down last year, so I could see that. And then you get down to 20? What is that? The Bears?
Well, we're at 17 now with.
Oh, okay.
Which I like. This site kind of.
Who's
like
They
need an edge. They need an edge rusher.
Well, the edge rusher that the Giants were talking about, and I can't remember his name now, that everybody says was a reach. That might be the guy to at 17, he might be worth it.
What, the guy Aziz Ojulari?
Yeah,
out of Georgia.
That's the name I remember seeing.
We'll take him at 17. Then you have 18 is the Dolphins again. Boy, they are making the Houston Texans. They are making them pay for that stupid trade.
Oh yeah,
for Laramie Tunsil. Because now you can pick the linebacker out of Notre Dame, who I like. Because you tried to sign Kyle Van Noy, that didn't work out. So you're able to do that. Then you get to the Washington football team.
I would think Washington would be looking at well, I know they drafted Fitzmagic. I mean, they picked up Fitzmagic, but would that be a bad pick?
They could go Mac Jones here.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones might not be a bad pick because Fitzmagic could go out there and play, and Mac Jones could sit on the bench for a year.
Well, Trey Lance is still on our board.
Okay, well, I mean, but
they tried to do this with Haskins. Didn't he go 15th, 16th in the draft?
Yes, he
did. Everyone said how much of a steal it was.
Well, everybody loved Haskins. That's the whole. I mean, everybody was.
Well, I mean, he's out of the league in 2 years, so.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to give him a shot, but I mean, he's going to really have to earn it because his behavior off the field that didn't help either.
Because they did a good job signing Curtis Samuel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's an offensive tackle. There's an offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech.
They could definitely use an offense. They could definitely use offensive players.
Then you get to the Bears.
Bears are a tricky team.
This is where if Trey Lance is on the board here at 20, like we have him here in this draft, you got to take him. Because you let Trubisky walk to Buffalo in favor of Andy Dalton, a move that I don't understand at all.
I don't like Dalton at this point in his career. I just don't think he's good anymore. But maybe that's just me. But I've never really been a big Dalton fan. Never really. But if they're going to insist on having him, I mean, I would draft a quarterback if I were them at 20.
Then you have the Colts at 21.
Colts could use a running back.
They have Taylor, though. He's 4th in the league in rushing.
I forgot about Taylor. You're right. You know what? Then draft a defensive player.
Let's see. The best defensive player.
A safety would help.
Oh, they can take my boy, Trayvon Moehrig, out of
I think a safety.
TCU.
If I'm the Colts, I would like a safety. I need help they need help in the secondary. They got a pretty good pass rush, but they really could use help in the secondary. I mean, Buffalo just tore them up in the playoffs.
You got Tennessee. They got to go defense. Defensive lineman out of Alabama.
Tennessee's defense was a problem though this past season.
It was a huge problem. Then we got the Jets. The Jets at 23. I don't know. Take your pick.
Hey, if you're the Jets, just take the best player that's left on the board. And if I'm the Jets, I'm sorry, I'm going offensive line. They've got to fix that offensive line. I mean, if you're drafting a quarterback at 2, you better get an offensive lineman who can really help you. Yeah, who's going to protect your quarterback? Because I mean, that's one thing. Darnold never had a good offensive line. I mean, he was always running for his life.
Couldn't agree with you more. I
mean, I think that. I mean, I watched enough of the Jets to be able to make the statement. I would get an offensive lineman if I were them.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. Thank you to everyone who liked, subscribed, shared the show. Thank you to everyone who commented on the show. Thank you to Frank Vesby for producing the show. Thomas Arnone will be on later tonight, Rantin' and Raven. Check it out. Turn those notifications on so you don't miss it. Thank you to our great sponsors at Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal, Sunrise Detox Center, Philly Drinkers, LLC, and did I miss one? I might have missed one.
The ones that
Body Check Wellness, of course, with the big 420 National Pot Day promo, 42% off your gummies, topicals, blends, and extracts. Promotes the wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp.
There you go.
42% off, folks, until 420, which is what, Wednesday? I think it's on Wednesday. So next Monday, we'll be back. Regular time, regular night on Monday. Until then, peace out, everybody.